Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker podcast brought to you by Dirty Duck Coffee. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver on a nice wet day in Texas. 2.5 inches of rain at the lodge last night.
If we'd only got that everywhere.
Oh, that would have been really nice. But we did get good rains. At least
it's going to look
rain.
like it didn't even rain at about 3 o'clock.
Going to green up. With us today, you wanted a coon hunting guy, so we're getting a coon hunting guy from Iowa City, Iowa, the most liberal part of Iowa, which means if they was going to give it an enema, that's probably where they would give it at. Mr. Jacob Heumphreus. Jacob, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well, guys. Doing real well.
Did I offend you by saying that if they was going to give it an enema, that's where it'd happen at?
I mean, it's full send in the enema region in Iowa City. Yeah, very liberal town. Very, different from me and my views and growing up. So.
Probably different than 90% of Iowa.
I'd say 95, to be honest with
go.
you. There's 2 or 3 towns that might be, in the running for liberal, but, most good, hardworking people in Iowa.
Is Iowa in danger of going blue anytime?
It is. It is every other election, just about.
It's a swing state?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's big time. I mean, it's down to the vote.
And it all comes from that one area.
As bad as that is.
No, Des Moines.
Yeah, I mean, it's like most of the country. I mean, you look at the state map and where the big cities are, where liberal congregations are, and that's we might have 1 million people outside of those towns, but it can't combat the 2 million people inside those towns, across the whole state.
That's what's crazy. When you look at the electoral map, the whole United States, every place that's a shithole is dark blue. Every place where you're living with freedoms and living out and life is good, it's as red as you can get. And
absolutely. The old saying goes, the red farmers bust theirs to feed theirs.
That's exactly right. So, you are a coon hunter. I can honestly tell you, in my lifetime, I have never, ever been coon hunting.
You're missing out.
How does it all start out?
Here it is. It's a very rewarding sport, I believe. It's very overlooked. It primarily happens at night. So we're out there working. Working the dogs, coon hunting. Gallivanting around the woods, and it's out of the spotlight. I think outside of maybe where the red fern grows, don't nobody know what coon hunting is really. To be honest with you. There's it's like anything, I guess I would say. If a person wanted to get into it, you do some searching on the interweb and type in coon hunting or raccoon hunting, however you want to say it. It's by a dog. You turn a dog loose, that dog goes out, and it might find a coon scent 50 yards away from you. It might have to go a mile to find it, depending on the region of the United States you're in. And he's going to follow that scent till that coon goes up a tree, in a hole, in an old barn, wherever that track ends. And the whole way he's telling you what he's doing based on the bark or the communication that the conversation he's giving you. He's telling you when he smells the track. He's telling you when that track goes up a tree or a place of refuge. And then when he's there, he'll make a locate bark signifying that, hey, I found him. And then he'll go into another type of bark, and he'll continue to stay there until you get there. It might be 5 minutes before you go there. It might be 5 hours. I've had a dog stay treed at Swimmer River, stay treed for 9 hours one time. Do
you need a fucking cigarette and a handkerchief after that?
Yeah, and the funny part. I mean, it's our responsibility to go to them once they get there. Um, that's the bond you have with the dog, I guess.
What's the most like? I know nothing about coon hunting. You take this dog out and he hits a tree, and you get to this coon. So when you get to that tree, do you shoot it with like a 22? Is that what you do to it?
Yeah. Yep. And the last 100 years, or however long this country's been around, up until about the last 10, 15 years, 10 years, I would say, there's a lot of fur. The fur trade was very rich across the whole United States, and that's primarily what coon hunters did, is they used those dogs to provide fur for the family, to sell. In the last few years, the fur trade, as along with all the other economy across the world, has pretty much took a shit, and now there's really no money in it. And that's split off into like dog performance competitions with a few different kennel registries, or some Saturday night, grandpa, a boy wants to go coon hunting with his grandpa. They just go turn the dog loose and continue the tradition.
How many dogs will you use when you're coon hunting?
Primarily, I coon hunt with one dog pretty much. You can turn 2, 3, 4, 5 loose. It turns into a job. Them suckers go in every direction. It's kind of in coon hunting. Independence is rewarded more than like a bird dog, where a pointing dog that is taught to back and honor. Coon hounds are they're wild ass animals. Any type of hound, really. They're going off and doing their own thing, finding their own track, chasing their own coon. That's how it's rewarded.
So you said you know what the dog is doing based on its bark. Is that something
Yes,
that
sir.
is universal to all coon dogs, or do you have to learn what that dog is meaning by the pitch and the sound of his bark?
Hounds across the board, it's a pretty universal thing. Every dog, based on the scent, is gonna tell you whether it's a fresher track, it's a cold trail, whether they're in some thick cover terrain. It's definitely something that has to be learned through the hours of being out there and just listening to the dog. I mean, you can pretty well tell every dog has a different voice. It's just like any person. Everybody has a different voice, and you just have to learn through the hours of being out there what he's trying to tell you. So like the big old houndy ball and stuff you hear on the movies of like just an old tracking dog. That's just them signifying they smell a scent. Whether a hound can be used for anything. Blood tracking a deer to tracking a lion, mountain lion, bear, raccoon. Every animal out there. And that's the diversity of these dogs that really, in my opinion, sets them apart from your common other house shitter.
House shitter. That tickled me.
So you get on, you take this dog out, you get on it, you get to the coon, you shoot the coon. You're going to either skin them out for fur, which there's not a big market no more.
Yep.
Do you eat them?
That's a hot question. I've never ate a raccoon. I've never ate a coon. As funny as it sounds, I've probably killed 20,000 of them in my life, through trapping or, with the dogs, everything like that. I've never, if I could find somebody that'd fix it and I would trust them. Yeah, I think I'd jump right in. I'd try it.
One of the problems a lot of people think with our turkey population right now is the coons. And I don't understand why it would take very long to trap one, because every deer feeder we have has a family of 6 to 10 of them fuckers. They're eating on them every day. Coon numbers are out of control.
Yep, absolutely. And they're a culprit for a lot of, bird destruction, any ground nesting predator or ground nesting bird, excuse me. There's no doubt they're just being coons. And I think a lot of it results back to the lack of fur trade. You look at back through the years in any Midwestern town, I would say half of that, wintertime economy was stimulated from fur in one way or the other, whether it be coons, possums, skunks, and it's been going on for a couple years. But if you look at, South Dakota and their ground nesting predator initiative, I think a lot of other states need to take a look into that direction, because it takes a coon, what's a hen turkey or hen duck have to sit on her nest for 20 couple days roughly. And that's, that's saying a ground nesting predator ain't gonna walk through there for 20 days. It's a miracle that any get hatched. To be honest with you, it takes about 45 seconds for a coon to trash a whole nest, and it just wipes out that number. It's not like turkeys can just re-nest, before they run out of time. Everything's on a biological clock, really.
Yeah, it's a major problem that I think is getting greatly overlooked. But I don't see what's going to change anytime soon, because, unless you just do it for passion, you're not going to make any money off of it. And it's a trade that is lost.
Yeah. We can speak on the money-making part. As far as the fur trade goes, there's just no money in it. You're going to lose money trapping. And like you say, every feeder you have out is just a buffet for a damn coon, to come through and eat up all your deer feed.
Yep, you did. You froze up there. Last thing I heard, no, it was just like 10 seconds ago. Last thing I heard was the raccoon getting on your deer feed and eating all of your deer corn.
Yeah. Through, you can go and there's a few ways to go and trap those coons that are coming and eating all your deer corn, or all your food plots, destroying everything, because farmers have to deal with it. With a few different trapping methods. They have dog-proof traps now, or pet-proof traps, that are pretty handy. It's an effective way to limit them. You're not going to get them all, because they'll get wise to that, seeing cousin Eddie caught up in a trap and not being able to run away. There is a few ways. It's hard to, in today's society, through all the leases, and I understand, landowners and leases, not wanting some hillbilly coon hunter to come out there and chase all their deer away, or, right, quote unquote, chase their deer away. And I'm a houndsman, and I would hope to think that, I'm respected in my industry. If people would just come see, come coon hunting 4 or 5 nights, whether it be in the middle of the summer that's miserable out, but, fall time during the rut, during season, these deer, and other animals truly, don't fear as a whole, the dogs and you walking through the woods at night, because they're not getting harassed at night. Mm-hmm. It's no different than, with this waterfowl hunt deal. How many damn ducks and geese can you walk up to that are wild as hell in the city park? Yep. And they'll let you walk right up to them. It's just a context of when they're used to being pursued. So as houndsmen, as hunters, we have such a big cloud over us, thinking, we're going out trespassing everywhere and carrying on and chasing everybody's deer off. And, I do respect the farmers or the deer hunters' opinion. But at the end of the day, if they just, would be open-minded and let me go in there and remove their coons a different way other than trapping. Mm-hmm. So I want to speak on. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
Go ahead. What do you want to speak on?
I want to speak on a little bit of the money making off it. There truly, again, is no, money in the fur per se, but in these different kennel registries, the PKC, UKC, United Kennel Club, Professional Kennel Club, and now the Pro Sport Kennel Club series, they offer, some pretty big money in the dog's hunting performance, right? It's like a field trial of sorts. It's all wild, but you're hunting wild coons. But there's been four events where the winner has won $100,000 in the last year.
Oh, geez.
So there is some incentive out there to coon hunt and carry on. and that's an area of the sport that I think is carrying it. It any type of hound hunting is always under a microscope, and in my opinion, 2 generations it could damn be over.
Or less. I mean, I don't know anybody
Yes.
out here that.
No, one of the problems I think that we have in Texas with coon hunting, and like I said, this is for someone that doesn't coon hunt, is the trespassing laws.
Yeah. Yep.
Because, we've got one ranch that we hunt on is thousands and thousands and thousands of acres, but most of the places we have is a section here and a section there and a section here. And out here it's hog dogs. Them guys that do the hog dogs are the same problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's hard to do that without crossing someone's fence and getting in trouble.
Yep.
I don't know why anybody would have an issue with someone getting coons off their property. I really don't. Anybody that hunts,
follow me around for a day and knock on somebody's door. You tell them you're going to go coon hunting at night, and you get some awful confused looks, without a doubt. And it comes back to the not wanting anybody on your ground. I mean, it's 2022. We just had to talk about the libtards a minute ago. I mean, everybody's so sketched out about everybody being on their ground or worrying about insurance, cause they don't want to claim on their ground. At night it's pretty miserable sometimes being out there at night, but who the heck stays out all night chasing a dog? Or say it's a nice night, y'all want to keep your windows open, nobody wants to hear a dog tree next to their house.
Right.
So there's some definite drawbacks to the sport.
What's the weirdest thing you've seen at night coon hunting?
Oh gosh, I've seen, people think it's crazy, but I know several times I've probably seen some damn ghosts or some bums out there. One night I couldn't have been 16 years old or so, hunting at a local, it was an old Girl Scout camp, and what the heck, it was foggy out, it was middle of the summer, and you just felt kind of weird, and I swear to you, I walked around, my dog was up on it was treed, I was circling the tree, shining it, and I turned around and I couldn't have been 2 feet away from an old Girl Scout cabin, but the Girl Scout cabin had been the camp been closed for 10 years, 20 years probably, because every cabin burned down. Now, whether I'm just, seeing things in the middle of the night or something, that cabin shouldn't have been there. I've seen some.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen some weird stuff. I know, I personally never have found anybody dead, but I know at some public ground out here, 2 of my friends found a dude that had hung himself.
Ooh,
Shit.
I seen a guy that was, had shot himself in his car out in this parking lot. That was kind of awkward.
You saw that?
Yeah.
I guess it didn't kill him?
Oh, yeah, they were very much dead. It painted their roof.
I thought you said you hadn't found anybody dead.
No, I ain't never seen anybody hanging. A friend of mine, yeah.
Hanging.
Yeah. He hung himself in the woods.
Were you by yourself when you saw him blow his brains out?
No, I drove up on it. It had already happened, but yeah, I was by myself.
That's kind of like there's the movie The Client with not Clint Eastwood, with Tommy Lee Jones. You remember that movie?
No.
Tommy Lee Jones, Susan Sarandon, a little kid.
Yes,
I
do
little
remember.
kid. He
Yes.
was 12 years
Yeah, I
old. He
remember
walked
that.
up
Yes.
on a guy that
Had offed himself.
He tried to do it the tailpipe through the window, and I guess that kid walked out and undid it. But anyway, he ends up blowing his brains out. But I can't remember why he was important.
I don't know. He was a witness for some shit on the mob or some shit probably. But anyways,
I'd be worried, but I mean that would run through my head. Like if I see this guy that just offed himself, and now it's like, well, fuck, what if I just rolled up on?
Would you have rather found the guy blow his brains out or the guy hanging in the tree?
Oh boy,
I think I'd rather find the guy with the brains blown out.
Ooh.
That hanging in a tree and hearing that damn rope
swinging.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, their dogs actually baited.
Oh.
Yeah.
What a shitty day.
Bait
So
him,
he
I
runs
guess.
up thinking he's got a coon in a tree, and then looks up and oh fuck, that's feet. That's feet hanging.
You're correct.
Oh, God Almighty, that'd be a bad day.
It was out on some public ground just to the west of Iowa City, and so and I do hunt in that area, and I believe one night I was caught up in what would have been a drug deal out there. I mean, you get all the trash coming out of town, and there was some people drove up on me. It was a real sketchy situation. Dude just staring at me and asking me what I was doing there, and
No, motherfucker,
it was
what are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly. He he walked up to me, got out of his car, walked up to me, and asked me what I was doing. I said I was coon hunting. And he said, "Oh, huh," and he just kept staring at me 6 feet away. And then my dog started barking, and I go, "See, there's my dog right there." And he goes, "That ain't no dog, that's an owl. I know what a dog sounds like." And I was like, "Well, I got to get going, buddy."
He's got something.
Yeah.
Jeez. See, I mean, things like that.
Has your dog ever treated anything unusual?
Let's see. I've had some dogs that'll treat some possums. They get corrected, you know, because what I'm doing is training for these competitions. Mm-hmm. Possums, treat a mink before, groundhogs, nothing, you know, in Iowa, I travel all across the country to coon hunt, but, per se in Iowa Midwest, there ain't much that can climb that, you know, is that impressive, I guess, you know. Treated some bears before, up in Wisconsin hunting. I lived in Montana for a while. Treated a lion or two out there.
Well, that's a big change.
But it's, you know, as much as it is, honestly, these hounds, you know, will take, like my coon hounds. I've never personally run them on them, but, you know, they all, you know, genetically go back to, you know, the same hounds. And when you know, start a puppy, you know, on a scent or something of that nature, they just learn to run it. You know, it's, in my opinion, it's about like running, you know, taking your dog to fetch some honkers to then taking them up in, you know, to find grouse. You know, I mean, it's about two extreme different, you know, situations, and they still are carrying the same scent.
I would think so. So you treat a bear.
Yes, sir.
What do you do? Just latch onto the dog and walk away?
Yep. Just lace them up, tell them good job, pat them on the butt, and leave the bear up there. A lot of times that's what you're doing is you know, you might have 5, 6, 8 dogs, you know, tree a bear. You just leash them up and go about your business after, you know, take a couple pictures and turn around and walk away.
I'm trying to equate that to waterfowl hunting, because there's something that happens with a lab, like if he's on a blind or something and he's not picking it up, and you can see their confidence level change. Does that happen with these coon hounds?
Absolutely. You know, it's very similar, to be honest with you. They, you know, these dogs need to be prepared or be exposed to every condition possible, you know. Like right now, per se, a lot of the coons in the summer will be down all day long, right? Getting a drink of water, getting, you know, eating berries, you know. So that dog has to be more prepared to run like a colder track or be better at it or have to cover more ground. You know, it sounds funny, but a coon is very similar to a bear in that, like a sow coon with babies will get down right before dark and, you know, go get a bite to eat, get some water. And then she goes up to a certain point and protects her babies from, like, the boar coons that'll come and kill all their babies.
So it's the same type pecking order as bears, because bears do that also.
Yep, absolutely. A coon and a bear are actually cousins.
Are they?
You know, yes, absolutely. So, I mean, I think there's some tendencies there, you know, and it sounds funny because, you know, it's just a, you know, greasy-ass coon. But, you know, they travel to food just like any other animal, you know, travel to water. You know, there's a cycle. Right now in Iowa, we just had, you know, mulberries, you know, ripen up, and, you know, coons are traveling to ditches and far out of the way places to you know, eat mulberries. Then they're going to go to the raspberries and other berries. Here in about a month and a half, our corn will, you know, start to be milking, and then they'll go to the cornfields, and that's where they run into a lot of problems. You know, your dogs, you go coon hunting, you find the corn, right? And then September, October, when the acorns start dropping, you know, then they'll go back to the woods and start eating acorns, go back to the corn, and, you know, it's just a cycle. It's like any other animal.
Have you seen the video of the coon that there was like I I think the guy was predator hunting, and the coon runs full sprint and just like tackles this. It was like a tail the guy was predator hunting with.
You don't see it very much, but like the bigger, older boar coons they're a ragged ass animal. I mean, they're going to fight everything that they can. If they're hungry and want a meal, it's nothing to see coons jump on rabbits, jump on birds, anything they can to fight to get a meal.
So they'll be carnivorous if they have to be.
Absolutely, yeah. They eat a lot of fish. It's nothing for them to catch fish in the river. They'll jump in to catch a catfish in the river.
Right.
And they're a cool animal. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love to hunt them, love to kill them, whatever. But I got an obsession. The first time I ever went coon hunting, I was 9 years old. With the dog. So from that moment on, I wanted to learn everything I could about chasing coons.
It's it really is. I think we're less than 2 generations away from it being a totally lost art.
It is. You look at and I'm just one person, and everything I'm telling y'all and I got in my mind is just my opinion.
Right.
But I'll bet I take 20, 30 people a year, young kids, especially old adults, coon hunting, just for the reason of, hey man, y'all need to see this, or everybody that knows me wants to come with me, or, I make a bunch of goofy ass videos and post them on different places. And, I like to bring the sport to light because it's truly a relaxing time. You're out there, in the evening, middle of the night, you can go all night long. You ain't got to worry about being quiet, wearing camouflage, worry about scent protection. That you pull up to a woods, turn a couple dogs loose, and they go do their thing, and you sit and listen to them, and they tell you, like I said earlier, when they strike a track, you listen to them work that track around, and it's pretty, listening to that dog work that old scent out, or run the hide, the emotion in their barks, but leading up to the time they're treed, and then you walk in there when they're treed. It's a pretty neat thing. I look up, I challenge everybody just to find a coon hunter. I don't know exactly where y'all are at in Texas, but I was in Texas for a while. I lived there for a while.
Where at?
And southeast Tech, a town called Adkins. It's southeast of San Antonio.
Okay. We are 5 hours northwest of San Antonio.
Okay. There's some towns over in North Texas, like Iola and Jewett. I believe it's White Oak or Whitesboro, Texas, Oklahoma, with some of the richest coon hunting tradition there is. In as far as the competition hunts goes, there's been some of the best dogs there is come out of Texas. They have a competition every January that'll draw 500 dogs. They'll hunt 500 dogs over a week's time around, north of Dallas, west of Dallas. As far as that area goes, I believe they have to wait till their deer seasons are out is why they have that hunt. And when it's wintertime up north, everybody wants to get the hell out of this cold weather. We'll go down South Texas, Oklahoma.
What do they? So it's like a field trial, a competition. What's it cost to enter a dog?
Yep.
What's it cost to enter something like that?
That dog, that competition down there, I think it's like $60 or $100 a night. They have local hunts throughout the week, Monday through Thursday, all around the country that, are $30 standard. But now, in the last 5-6 years, it's became more and more popular. I wouldn't say it's a rich man sport, but there's definitely, like anything, there's levels to it. Right now they're having $2,500 to $6,500 entry fee hunts. $4,000 is real common to be in a 2 or 3 night entry hunt. And, obviously the more entry, the more you win. Like a $6,500 hunt, it's $6,500 you pay to hunt for 3 nights. There's usually 16 dogs in it. You go out and hunt for a total of 4 hours, 2 hours in the early round, 2 hours in the late round. And the dog that wins comes out on top, going to have about $20,000 out of it. They're going to win.
How do you win? Whoever trees the most coons?
Yeah, in a roundabout way. I'd be here for 4.5 hours if I had to go through all the rules and stuff. But it's a random draw out of all the dogs that are there. So like these $6,500 hunts, um, the breakdown is four. You compete against three other dogs. So there's four dog casts, and they go out and compete for 2 hours. And after the end of the 2 hours, in a roundabout way, the dog that trees the most coons will advance to the next round and get matched up to the three other winners. So there are going to be four other dogs. Then they go compete for 2 more hours, and the dog that comes out on top there is that night's winner. In these big pro classics or these big added hunts, there's usually 2 rounds a night, and then for 3 nights, there's 3 different hunts. So, it's nothing for somebody, to come away winning $30,000 in a weekend.
So let me get this right. So you have 4 dogs, and they all go out at the same time, or do you go to different areas?
Yes, sir.
You go to different areas.
Nope.
They run together.
Yes, sir. So like in those 4 groups of dogs, they all go different directions, so as they don't interfere with the other cast, right?
How do you get the dog to go different ways?
Some dogs don't. Some dogs, they kind of like to be around other dogs. Some dogs are super independent, and through the breeding program, that suits these rules, it's say in labs, you got a dog that just makes some amazing blinds. I mean, you send him and he's like a missile going straight, running a perfect line. In these dogs, they reward the independence of these coon dogs. So, a way to score more points inside this hunt is to be more independent. Whether, it's natural or, maybe there's some man-made independence being like, hey, I don't want you around these other dogs, so go in there and switch your dog and, or just motivate him to be off by himself. You get more points for treeing that coon off by himself. So when you start your hunt, you got a judge with you and a guide with you. And you start at the same point. You pull your truck up to a woods, kick your dogs loose, and they might all 4 just, go hunt together, or they all just might split way up. And you never know what the dog's going to do till the hunt's over. It's just like, going out in any type of hunt. No dog's perfect.
What the training process? Do you start them at like 8 weeks, 10 weeks, kind of like a lab, or is this something that you wait a little bit longer?
Maturity is, to me, maturity is the most important part of training a hound. If they're 4 or 5 months old, and act like, they're not afraid of the dark, they're going to go, want to go follow the other dogs. If you let them out of the kennel at the house and they're trying to attack the cat, they got a bunch of prey drive. And the biggest thing to me, with the biggest difference, that I've been experienced to with bird dogs and hounds is not every hound makes it. There's a lot that don't. Whereas with a bird dog, you can see what he's doing to critique what he's doing. Right. Say you don't like the line he's doing, you might put something on one side where he favors it to force him over to you more, to reward him more coming back to you, or you don't like how he's going out flushing birds, or he's hunting real wide. You can bring him back with a rope. Where as you turn these coon dogs loose, or any hound for that matter, you never, as soon as you turn him loose, you should never see him again. And you need to train on by the bark he's making, by what he's telling you he's doing. And it just comes with so many hours of being out there. I mean,
so how do you do that? How do you train a coon hound? Because like you said, a good coon hound you don't see again for a while. So what do? You just hear his bark, and then when he's still in the training phase, you rush up to him and give him a lot of praise.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of guys start out with just live trapping a coon and showing that pup, that dog, that coon, and they'll have like an older dog there that goes to barking at it and trying to fight with it. So that that puppy's like, hey, I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna Their prey drive kicks in, and all those years of genetics just bang right there. Like, hey, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm gonna try to fight that thing, And you got to make sure that he's mature enough to where if that coon grabs a hold of him or they go to fighting, he doesn't get set back and get scared of that coon now. So that's where the maturity to me comes. And then when he's out there, you turn him loose. He goes out there. Say he might start chasing a deer, or he's running some fast game. You can use your e-collars, to stimulate him to be like, hey, help him put two and two together that, hey, this might be fun, but I shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
Or, cut him off, run him down, and be like, hey, you're doing good. You're not doing good. That's where, just going with somebody, a new person starting out, going with somebody, finding somebody local that coon hunts, go out and buy a puppy. To me, it's really hard to get into this sport buying an 8-week-old puppy because a hound is about a 2-year investment.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know really what you got for a couple years. So go out, person wants to get started coon hunting, go out and buy a good dog and then let it teach you how to coon hunt. If that makes sense.
What will a good coon dog cost you approximately?
I know
that's a tricky question because one of the best labs I've ever seen was bought for $50 at a fair in Minnesota. So, and I've seen plenty of $1,500 dogs that weren't worth fucking kibbles and bits. It was getting at the end of the day.
Yeah, it ain't worth the price of a bullet, I guess. You'll hear.
Yeah, bullets way better than this dog deserves.
Yeah. Most puppies out of a good female, you're gonna pay $800 to $1,500. Pretty common now.
Okay.
A young started dog that has an idea what a coon is, we'll tree a couple coons for you. Just needs refined, just needs more time in the woods. You're looking at $3,000 to $5,000
for a started dog.
Yeah, for a started dog. I mean, there's right now the price of these dogs. It's people laugh at it, but there's coon dogs selling for $150,000.
I believe it. Because, shit, there's a lot of labs that are selling for ungodly amounts of money right now.
Yeah. And through these competitions, there is a lot of incentive to go to them. If you can, it's a handful of guys doing it, but hell, if you can win $50,000 in a weekend, there's like the United Kennel Club just this spring at a hunt called the Tournament of Champions. It paid $50,000 to win. The world, the PKC World Hunt pays $30,000 to win every year. The Nationals is $20,000 to $30,000 a year to win that. So there's money there. You got to burn up a lot of gas to get there, but if you do it and get the desire, it's just like anything. I don't care if it's race cars, if it's goose hunting. A person can kill all the geese they want to off of damn flambeau decoys, but there's Dave Smith out there that's gonna really ring up a bill. It's really all in what you want to make it at the end of the day.
Do you have a preference in what kind of hound you look for? Because I know, there's like blue tick hound. There's a ton of different. So there's 5 or 6.
There's six breeds of registered coonhounds out there. There's the blue tick, there's a treeing walker, a plot hound, a red bone, an English, and an English coonhound, a black and tan coonhound. I prefer the walkers. The treeing walker just because it's a action type dog, right? You see a lot of these Western big game dogs that are running really old tracks, like the plot, blue tick, English, that are bred, for their tracking ability, cold tracking ability, where they might have to run a damn track that was 2 days old, and that's what they got to work with. Well, you might get some walkers that are cold nosed, but, in reality, we're coon hunting, there's thousands of coons around. If you go a mile of my house, you're gonna find all sorts of coon tracks, fresh coon tracks that could be treed, right? It's it's all about, and there again, I'm training for these competitions. You have 2 hours to hunt. You better tree as many coons as you want to, or as you can. I guess I misspoke. Inside that hunt time.
Right, and so these other dogs, they'll get on colder trails and hunt those, which will probably take longer, and it's not as advantageous to these hunts that are only 2 hours long. Like, you need to get on a hot trail and not fuck with that one that's 2 days old.
Yep. These dogs nowadays are just like, I mean, they're damn race cars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing to have a dog go a mile from you in 4 or 5 minutes. They'll be a mile away. I mean, and I'm not taking anything away from the other breeds, but it's just, I think there's a lot of pride in the other breeds where I think their breeding programs were set back as a whole, you know, not wanting to, we don't want to breed to that dog because I don't like that guy, stuff like that. Whereas, like, in these competitions, the walker guys are like, I might not like you, but I'm going to breed to your dog because I want a better dog.
Right.
You know?
So, what are these dogs? Are they, because you've got these 6 different varieties of hounds, did they all kind of have the same origin and then they've just branched off through years of selective breeding? Or was it always like this and you always had the 6?
You know, it
and that might not make sense.
I don't want to misspeak, you know, be misspoken, whatever. I know that a lot of it derived off the old English foxhound, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and that's what my dogs still look like. Like the black and tan, I believe it's one of the oldest registered dogs. You know, back in, you know, for what it is, you know, the human tracking days, I believe a lot of them were black and tans or red bones. And that's just, you know, you might make an outcross with one of those type dogs to a walker, you know, and then those genetics will always be there. And then their pups, you know, down the family tree, you know, will always have that color show up in there. You know, they say, honestly, a lot of, if I remember right, a lot of dogs were off like the English pointer. You know, the makeup of an English pointer is very similar to a lot of hounds. They said there was some bird dogs back in the woodpile years ago that made the coon hounds what they are.
I'm looking it up. A blue tick hound is a treeing walker, is what it says here. Is that correct?
Genetically, I think it might be. I'm not.
Oh, hold on. Oh, I might have misspoken. The blue tick hound and the tricolored treeing walker coon hound were originally considered varieties on the English, but were split off and recognized as different breeds in 1946 and 1945.
Yeah.
So, okay, I did misspeak.
That sounds right. Yep, that sounds right. And like it, so there's the blue English, and then there's like an oranger looking dog that's like the recognized English, and they just through different genetics, through different breedings. I mean, there's a genetic line of dogs that in Iowa that are very famous throughout the country now. They're half breed dogs. It's where a guy took a walker female and a blue tick male, and I think that's probably 4 or 5 generations ago now. And you can't really tell. They look more like a walker than a blue tick. They kind of bred the blue tick out of it, but that blue tick genetics always going to be in those dogs.
Are they very good civilians, or are they terrors in the house, or do you not bring them in the house?
You know, it just all depends on the dog. I catch a lot of hell for the dog that I'm hunting right now. She's about 3/4 house dog. You know, as much as we travel all across the country, you know, the better dogs are very laid back. They're mellow. They know their job is at night. You know, you'll see them get more active, you know, in the evening. They'll hop up in the hotel room and just sleep in bed with you all day. You know, these competitions run from dark until daylight, honestly. So, you know, when you get into the hotel after hunting 2 rounds, you know, you're whooped. You're going to sleep all day. You know, they got to understand that, you know, get up in bed and sleep, or, you know, you might take a kennel in the hotel room or house with you. Putting them in, you know, as many different situations as you can.
How many miles do you walk in a night when you're coon hunting usually?
7 or 8, 5. You know, it might be 200 yards if you can ride your Ranger from tree to tree. You know, if you get on some wide open timber like in the fall wintertime, or like in the competitions, it's really nothing to walk 6-7 miles in 2 hours.
My dad used to tell a story. He coon hunted someone. He had not a very good dog growing up, but He said they were in southeast Kansas where they lived at, and this dog and him both, he was chasing the dog, chasing the coon, and there was no creek bed there, and they jumped, and he said there was leaves on the water, but it looked like it was a dry creek bed, and he said, I don't know who was surprised me more or the dog when we hit that water. But he used to tell that story a lot. My dad really enjoyed coon hunting growing up.
You know, it's a situation where, like, you know, my woods in Iowa that I hunt are nothing like, you know, Texas or Georgia, Florida, South Carolina. You know, there's different inherent dangers, you know, to a point that you're going to get into. You know, you look at down south in the summertime, is there goddamn snakes everywhere that want to bite you. I hate hunting down south in the summertime because I hate snakes. There's gators, hogs. You know, up here, you know, we have some coyotes that might bark at you, but we really don't have much to worry about. So that's one part of coon hunting, especially these competitions. You get a lot of people, they're just called hide hunters, right? They wear that title, where they just, you know, do it because they enjoy hearing a dog bark. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, if the competition's ended today, I'd still want to hear a dog bark. So I can, you know, I know where your dad is coming from. You know, just love doing it for the sport of it.
He enjoyed it as a kid. It has become a lost art, and I think trespassing laws has got a lot to do with it. But we need more coon hunters, and I bet you there's a business plan that you could find some deer, especially deer leases in Texas, that you would get paid pretty good money from some deer leases to go wipe out the coons off their fucking deer leases.
Right.
They would pay per
just
right.
the corn bill.
Yes.
That just the money that you would save on corn in the year would pay to have these people go through your.
You see what a bag of corn is right now?
Oh, fuck.
$13.
Just wait.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly right.
Just wait.
I will say this, like, you know, it's kind of a roller coaster in I guess hunter relations between the hound hunters and deer hunters mostly. I mean, you know, again, I said I already spoke on this, but, you know, I totally understand where they're coming from. You know, they pay all this money. They get to hunt 2-3 weekends a year, maybe, you know, if it's lease ground, or, you know, you don't want people, you know, driving across your ground at any point. But I will say this, like, I do agree with you. You know, we could help a lot of their problems out without doubt, you know, by eliminating the coons. If they just open up their eyes, you know, and as hunters work with other hunters, you know, because the second hound hunting is limited, it's going to be that much easier to eliminate deer hunting or limit how you want to go about it. I mean, there's fights every day, you know, hunting always, you know, is under jeopardy. I don't care if it's for deer or you know, ducks, geese, coons, coyotes. In Iowa 3 years ago now, in Iowa and many other states, it's the right to retrieve, right? So if my dog gets on your ground, I can go get it and get off as quick as possible, you know, and the permission is getting harder and harder. So we as houndsmen have to be more mindful of where we're at, where we're hunting, how we're going about it. You know, knocking on somebody's door at 1 o'clock in the morning isn't something that's ideal, but by God, you got to do it, because that's how your dog gets shot next time it gets on that ground. You know, and I always tell everybody, you know, I'm not going to put a price tag on my dog. I would guess, you know, I could probably pretty easy sell her for $20,000 to the right guy. I don't want to jeopardize that dog. You know, I've got thousands of hours into coon hunting, you know, with this dog, with other dogs. I'm not going to jeopardize their life and put them somewhere where I shouldn't. You know, as a responsible hound owner, you know, you really got to take a hard look at how you're portraying yourself. In Iowa, with this right to retrieve deal, we about lost it 3 years ago. Some coyote hunters, maybe some coon hunters, you know, are really abusing the law and, you know, dumping dogs or hunting on areas they shouldn't, or turning dogs loose in the ditch, knowing damn well they're going to go, you know, where on posted property. And it's like we were 7 votes away from losing the right to retrieve. You know, and it is a crutch for a lot of people to trespass, and I think it's a crock of shit that they do it. At the end of the day, the age-old thing is, you know, my dog can't read a no trespassing sign. Well, you're right, but do what you can to limit the times he's crossing that fence.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. Is there a lot of incidents where the coon and the dog get into like a scuffle? Is that pretty frequent, or is that rare?
It's pretty frequent when you shoot the coon out. Sometimes they come out alive, right? And the dog, grabs a hold of it. They want to fight and go back and forth. And some people kind of maybe enjoy that. Coons have a very dirty mouth, right? They got a bunch of bacteria in there, and there's a virus called coon dog paralysis, and it attacks the central nervous system of a dog and it paralyzes them. And when a dog does get it, they'll be dead in 6 hours. So I myself try to limit it, and even bird dog people, they see it. There'll be a coon, balled up out in the middle of a field. Their dog will grab a hold of it or pull it out of a brush pile. And they run the jeopardy of dealing with that. So I personally don't like my dogs fighting. Another real tricky situation is if your dog's out there hunting and it catches a coon in a pond or in water, something like that. A coon in water is about like an otter. I mean, they can get around very well, and what they're going to do is they're going to try to drown your dog by swimming on top of his head, pushing it underwater. So you have to be very mindful of that situation. Not to, yeah, absolutely.
Holy.
Yep. I've never had a dog drowned, but I've had one cough up a bunch of water, and I had to take it to the vet because of that situation.
Just get on their back. It'll swim them in circles enough to get on their back, and then they'll literally just dunk their head underwater.
Yep, push the dog's head right underwater.
Jeez.
Absolutely.
Vicious animal.
Yep.
They are.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, no, and I'm not taking away anything from a coon, but they're going to do what they got to do to survive. I mean, they don't, they're going to, get killed and eaten whatever by coyotes and stuff like that. But you get an old boar coon, he ain't afraid of a coyote. He's going to fight the hell out of one. They get that bear tendency. They ain't really afraid of much, but they'll fight you till they die.
What's an old age for a raccoon? Do you know? Is 4 years old? That seems like it would be pretty old.
I think 4 or 5, especially around here in Iowa where there was so much trapping and, so much fur industry. You always hear people talking about a 40, 50-pound coon, and I think those people are as crazy as a coon is to think they generally get that big. In Iowa, a 25 to 30-pound coon is a pretty damn big one. You go down south, and a 15, 18-pound coon's a pretty damn big one down there. So it's just all territorial.
How much do the dogs weigh?
And I would say an average coon hound is a 50 to 60-pound dog. You'll get some that are 60 to 70 pounds, but keeping him in hunting shape and hunted down, I would say 60 pounds is pretty common. I've had several dogs that are 40, 45 pounds, just little things. I personally like a dog that is no more than 55, 60 pounds, just because they're so hard on their running gear. It's nothing for a dog to travel 10 miles in a night, of hard hunting at least, and doing that 4 or 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week, they're going to run themselves down. All their joints are going to go to hell. So dog care, really comes in, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old dog, you're giving them the supplements, joint supplements are huge. There's so much technology in the dog food nowadays. It's come leaps and bounds as far as, just what you're feeding a dog to keep them, hunted, in good hunting shape.
Can you imagine those dogs like in the 20s and 30s, the way that they were treated compared to the dogs of today? Like you are just a means to an end there, fella. That's it.
Just a tool, and you get a lot of houndsmen that are like that, that don't I guess take care of the dog as good as they probably should. Or you'll see a lot of dogs at these events and they're just run ragged, and you're like, damn, you about feel bad for them because that dog's out there busting his ass hunting, miles and miles in horrible conditions, and the least you could do is feed the sucker.
Is that one of them there behind you?
And so, no, this is my girlfriend's little Brittany. She's a bird hunter. She's got a 10-month-old Brittany that's a ball of fire.
Do they interact with the hounds at all, or you keep her separate?
Yeah, I think they like to. This one has ruined my old dog. they like to play and just be friendly. Now I try to keep my dogs pretty business oriented, but this thing, he just wouldn't quit biting them and grabbing them and playing with them until they'd finally give in and start playing with them.
They've got
now.
those big old ears to grab a hold of too. So like there's.
Oh, I mean, he leads them around. He'll grab a hold of those ears and lead them around like they're on a leash.
But you don't see that as much in the lab community. I don't think. Like if somebody gets a lab, they generally, and especially like going to these hunt tests, they take care of it. I wonder what it is where people think that they can do that to a coon hound. Because, like I'm thinking, like I don't, and obviously I hadn't been to just a ton, but I know people that have labs, and I'm painting with a broad brush here, and I'm sure there's some shitty owners of Labrador retrievers, but for the most part, it's a prized possession. Whereas the coon dog is just like, fuck him. He'll get what he gets.
You'll see that. I don't want to make it seem like there's a lot of mistreated hounds out there. I don't want to, there's some suckers. There's levels to it, I guess I would say. You get a lot of, you see it a lot maybe in some deer dogs or, some of the hog dogs, coon dogs, where, be honest with you, maybe the people can't afford to have as many dogs as they got. Or, because in a lot of these hound sports, there's multiple owners. Multiple dogs, that the owners have. Deer hunters, they might have 8 or 10 deer dogs, 15 deer dogs. Same with, bear hunters, stuff like that. But I do truly believe every hound owner does keep the best care that they got. I want to see it anyway. It's to me the biggest difference in the bird dog side of things, the lab trials. Any bird dog trial is that dog is their companion more than these hounds. Like these hounds, want to stick to themselves a little bit more, I believe, than a lot of the bird dog side of things.
What's their life expectancy like, the dogs? Are they kind of like a lab where 10-ish is getting up there?
Yeah. You'll see 8, I would say 8 to 12 years old, is what you're getting out of these dogs. Some of them, freak accidents will take a lot of dogs too early. Or, their running gear just wears out, I guess, more than anything. Down south, there's so many viruses that don't get killed like up north. You got brucellosis, parvo, a lot of different mites and, health concerns, I guess I would say, down south, up north, different things you're going to run into. But yeah, I would say 8 to 12, I would say for a hound is what you're going to get out of them.
I got a 10-year-old, so, we're getting close. We're much closer to the finish line than we were the starting line, but it is what it is. I couldn't imagine having multiple dogs and going through it. It seemed like you'd be getting a new dog every single year and getting close and learning about them, and then like, well, motherfucker, there's a rotation here. About every other year I lose a dog.
Yeah. And a lot of guys do time that out. Losing a dog is, to me, I always say it's a blessing and a curse having a good dog, because it's a blessing, getting to share the time you do with it. The curse is you never get another one like it. You spend your whole life chasing what that dog was, and it's hard to accept what another good one's going to be. But, he might be lacking in one area or another. Same with bird dogs. Same with dogs across the board.
They're all better when they're dead.
Yeah, the deader, the better.
Exactly right. I'm telling you.
Yep. I should have like 7 world champions as good as my dead ones are.
Same with people, too. You can see no good sorry bastard die in the obituary and make you think he was the greatest guy on the earth. And you'll think, that's the same son bitch I knew.
Mm-mm.
It's weird how nobody comes out and tells the stories about when somebody's a piece of shit and, don't get along with nobody and tries to run everybody off. When they die, everybody's like, man, he could make a good apple pie.
It's not what you were saying about him a month ago when
Yeah.
he was still on this, when he was 6 feet above the ground.
Somebody still owes me $300.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I've been there.
when are you hunting
I have.
next? You going out this evening, or is this a weekend type deal?
You know, when I'm getting ready for a competition, you know, to have the dog in peak performance, I'll hunt 4 to 6 nights a week, you know, starting about a month out. In the summertime, it's best to keep a dog in good shape. That way you don't overheat the dog, burn the dog up. It's just like, you know, your labs and running for your hunt tests. A lot of the competitions run March through October, November. So it's part of, you know, being pretty damn miserable. You know, I'm not going to exaggerate. Coon hunting in the summertime is the most miserable thing you will ever endure, with the bugs and snakes and weed high, you know, head high thistles and fireweed, you know, nettles. But you owe it to the dog to keep it in shape. So when you do, you know, go to a competition, it don't look foolish and it don't make you look foolish. So let's see, I was in a competition 2 weeks ago, and it was a 2-night deal, and I won the first night and got beat the second. But like, I don't have much coming up. I'll probably just hunt 2 or 3 nights a week, maybe at most, you know, just to keep the dog in shape, just to enjoy it. I'm here to tell you, a lot of people laugh at me, you know, and how this whole conversation started is through a couple people I know that said I'm a storyteller. Like, I'm here to tell you, and anybody that knows me and going to listen to this knows that I have screwed up a lot of good deals in my life to chase a coon. I've had good jobs in Montana. I lived in Texas. I lived in a couple other parts of the country that I couldn't coon hunt, or, you know, couldn't coon hunt like I wanted to. And so I just quit it. You know, I've quit several good jobs. You know, it's ruined a lot of relationships. Yeah, you know, and anybody that coon hunts and travels to do it can contest that there's a shelf life on a wedding, you know, on a marriage, if you're going to coon hunt, because it's non-peak hours. You know, you're gone all night long. You're gone on the road all the time. I'm truly blessed to have a girlfriend that supports it. But I've sure ruined a few that didn't. So, you know, good for them. They didn't deserve me. This one does.
Because I mean, what time do you get started? 7:30? Well, I mean, like this time of year, it doesn't get dark until almost 9.
Fucking 10 o'clock, man. You know, and then I got a job that I got to go to work at 6:15. I got to be on the road to drive to work. You know, so there ain't a whole lot of sleep. You know, if you're going to coon hunt 4 hours a night, 2 hours a night in the summertime, this whole daylight saving time didn't help the coon hunters at all. No, it's a bunch of crap.
Because we go from waking up,
you know,
we leave the lodge here at 5 o'clock after this daylight savings time. But before that, we would be leaving the lodge at 6 o'clock.
That's what's going to be like from now on.
That's doable. Mm-hmm. I can do that. Because, like, we have breakfast 4:15, we leave at 5. Well, that would be 5:15, leave at 6. And I'm going to bed at fucking 7:30, 8 o'clock at night so that I can compensate for doing this 7 days a week.
Yep. And that's how it is with coon hunters, man. You know, we can't really get started until it's dark and the coons come down, you know, from their dens. So we're at the mercy of whenever it's getting dark. Now in the wintertime, you know, we can hunt, you know, from 5 o'clock at night till 5 o'clock in the morning if we need to. This time of year, it's pretty damn tough to hunt 4 or 5 hours and then go to work, and that's what does limit a lot of guys, you know, that have jobs. You know, I mean, it's tough to make a job out of going to these competitions. There's some money men involved that, you know, have some handlers, pay their guys to that's what they do, is go around to these competitions. But for the common man, you know, or somebody that just enjoys it, it's tough on you. There ain't much sleep. You go to the first 2 hours of work in the morning or just trying to wake up.
And when it's real cold, can you coon hunt during the daytime, or is that never a possibility?
It's tough. You know, maybe in November, you know, the start of December, when those coons are really in Iowa anyway, up north. Those coons are moving, you know, all day long in the fall to start, you know, eating, right? Because they know, just like a bear, a coon will hibernate when, you know, we got a foot of snow on the ground and it's 27 below. they're not going to get out and move around much. It's too cold for them. So they'll just den up and sleep it out. So you won't, and I don't really coon hunt a lot when it's that cold either, because hell, I don't want to be out there when it's like that.
Yeah. No. Well, listen, man, this has been a very, very fun podcast. This is definitely not in our wheelhouse, and I love a good dogs. They amaze me. The shit that we've trained them to do over however many years is fascinating.
Man's best friend.
So anytime I can get a good dog story, and it's fun. I appreciate you coming on here.
Man, I can't thank y'all enough to spotlight a coon hunter. I was nervous, that I'm gonna look like a bumbling idiot, because most of the time I do, but I like to have a good time doing it. I'm kind of stepping out there, representing the coonhound community, because it's a lot bigger than a person would really realize. At some of these events, like a week long at the World Hunt, they'll hunt 600 dogs, throughout the week. That's a lot of people across the country. So I just want to thank y'all and be proud that I'm a coon hunter.
You did an excellent job.
We appreciate you. God bless you, Jacob. You have a great day and have a good summer, and try to get some rest a couple of nights.
All right,
yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you. You
Can you
bet.
imagine 600 of them people at one place?
True. Be a loud fucking place.
Gosh almighty. I have never, ever. My dad loved that. When he was a kid, he loved coon hunting.
Oh.
He used to go all the time. Absolutely loved it. Says his dog wasn't very good. It would tree anything.
That limits you.
I would rather be a coon hunter up north than down south.
Fuck yeah. Like you said, the diseases.
Snakes and shit. I ain't worried about disease, more about snakes and stuff.
Wow.
All right. Well, God bless y'all. Thank y'all for listening to us. Y'all have a great week. This will be out on Wednesday, so we'll have John Dieter. We'll talk the Guyot and Dieter difference. Most trusted decoys and sporting collectibles auction house in the world. I have him on Wednesday. I've got a lot of questions about him, a lot of really cool stuff. Thank y'all. God bless y'all. Have a good week. Don't forget to come to the Squad Fest and check us out on July 15th and 16th, isn't it?
That's it.
Yep. Don't forget about Ducks Unlimited. If you're looking for a dog, Double T British Kennels. Newest sponsor. Check them out, too. Thank you. God bless you.
Like Jeff said, go check out all of our great sponsors. Check out Dirty Duck Coffee, Bangtail Whiskey, Alpha Outdoor Specialties, maker of the Stanfield Stool, the Looking Glass Duck Club Podcast, Lucky Duck, Stanfield Hunting Outfitters, Ducks Unlimited, Double T Kennels, Shin Gear Waders, Gundog Outdoors, Pacific Calls, Dive Bomb Industries, Boss Shot Shells, and Lucky Duck.